Hi, my name is Christy and I'm a part of Fusion Ukraine. Today I'll be giving you the top 10 tips for great singing so you can sound great both as an individual and as a choir. The first tip, and probably the most important, is how you breathe. It's really important that singers have good breath. Just as a car has gas to run, you also need good breathing to be a great singer. There are some components and areas in your body that are really important to use while breathing. You have the front rib cage, the back rib cage, and also something called the diaphragm. The diaphragm is balloon-shaped and is located in the center of your body. If you take your hands and find the bottom part of your rib cage and then go to the center, that's where the diaphragm is located. This is kind of a confusing way to breathe because when you inhale, the diaphragm goes out. When you exhale, the diaphragm goes in or contracts, like this. One of the easiest exercises in order to feel a great breath is to pretend that you have a tube around the whole entire part of your body. So you want to fill up that tube both in the front and in the back. The diaphragm goes out and the back lungs also expand like this. Filling up a tube around your whole body will give you a great breath before singing. Another exercise is to pretend that you're scared and make a big gasp. Now breathe again, but try to take away the gasp and make no sound. This will help you get a deep, low breath. Another idea for breathing is to breathe almost behind the eyes and lift your soft palate, which is the squishy part in the back of your throat. Try to breathe deep and then lift that soft palate like this. Here's another exercise that will really give the singers the sensation that they're actually singing. You breathe in for 3 counts, hold for 6 counts, and then release for 6. Ready? This will really encourage the singers to hold that breath for a long time. If all else fails and your singers still cannot feel their diaphragm expanding, have them lie down on the floor and have that diaphragm go towards the ceiling while they're breathing. You can even encourage your singers to do this on their own and practice at home. The second tip is to create enough space for singing and also the vowels. We'll call this section space. You need to have a lot of space in the front, so a long jaw, and also in the back of your throat. Some singers only think about space in the front and they forget about the space in the back. It makes a huge difference in sound if you can have a lot more space in the back of your throat, like this. Ah. If you can take the sound back a little bit more, it'll really help your overall sound. A lot of conductors say for singers to have a long jaw in front, which is very important, but you can get a lot more sound if you really expand the back of your throat. Here's an exercise that practices both. Try it on a na. Na, bum bum, na, bum bum, na. Another great exercise to practice space is to practice your vowels in the front of your mouth. Say a, e, o, u. Now, just sing them on one note and then go up, like this. A, e, o, bum, bum. A, e, o, bum, bum. A, e, o. This will help singers to really practice long vowels in the front, and don't forget about that backspace. The third tip is something called resonance. Resonance is the vibrations both in the nasal passages, the mouth, and the vocal cords. The mouth and the vocal cords are very natural when you're singing, so today we'll concentrate right up here in the nasal passages. This is something called the mask. If you can take your fingers, put them on the top of your eyebrows, and take your thumbs, put them on the bottom part of your cheekbones. This whole area right here is called the mask. This is where you want to concentrate your resonance while singing. Now, in order to focus those exercises right up here around the mask, make sure you take a good breath from your diaphragm and try to concentrate the sound up here in the mask. Here is a great way to practice. Now, the first exercise to practice this is the same idea with the ooh-ee's, and then have it slide down. So take a good breath and try this. Wee bum bum, wee bum bum, wee 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 wee. This next exercise helps you to practice resonance over your whole entire range. You're going to sing a low note and then a high note and slide down. So the first note needs to be light and lifted and up in the mask, like this. Na bum bum, na. If it's too heavy, it will sound different, like this. Na. So you want to make sure that the sound is consistent from low to high. Resonance is also very useful in making your voice consistent from low to high. You can try something like this. Slide from the top note all the way down to that low note, like this. If you're a guy, you'll have more of a difference between your high register, which we'll call falsetto, and your lower register. Females have a little bit less of a difference, but keep practicing so that all notes sound as similar as possible. If all else fails and you really need singers to concentrate the tone up here in the mask, try something really ugly like this. Nyan, 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 nyan. Bum, bum. Nyan, 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 nyan. Obviously, this is not good singing, but in order to feel the vibrations in your nasal passages, this exercise works. The fourth tip is facial expressions. Believe it or not, facial expressions really help you to become a better singer. If you can have smiling eyes, or something that we'll call smize, this will really help you to engage with your audience and be a great singer. Make sure you're always looking up and out at your audience. Lift your cheekbones, have smiling eyes, and lift your eyebrows slightly. This will really help you to sing well. Tip number 5 for great singing is to make sure that you're singing the right part. Now, I know this sounds silly, but if you can be really solid on your voice part in choir, this will help the overall sound. If you have altos, tenors, and sopranos all singing the right part, it'll make the overall choir really sound in tune, and it's gonna make the choir sound even louder. To help singers really stay in tune, you wanna make sure that they're very grounded, that they're breathing, they're listening to the people on the right and the left, and they're really also creating some energy while they sing. It's really important that singers are listening to one another. That's why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Tip number 6 for great singing is to warm up and really energize the body. Every fusion choir does warm-ups every single week, but maybe you don't realize why you do warm-ups. If the singers are out of tune in a warm-up, they might be out of tune during fusion choir rehearsal. So make sure you really concentrate on great warm-ups that energize the body and get the singers ready for a rehearsal. Tip number 7 for great singing is don't over-sing. Projection is a good thing and it combines breath, space, and resonance. You want your choirs to have good projection, but not sing beyond what is beautiful. There are 2 extremes for singing, something that is very weak and breathy, and something that is like yelling or screaming. So you want your singers and your choirs to be projecting well, but not yelling or screaming. Let me briefly talk about the singer that might be a little bit too breathy. This is a problem with the vocal cords. Vocal cords are like flaps down here in your throat. Sometimes a breathy singer might not be closing these flaps well enough. So here's something to practice to really open and shut your vocal cords. Oh, oh, oh. And make sure when they're singing the O that the O is very concentrated and clear. Here's a bad example. Oh, oh. So make sure it's a very strong open and shut. Oh, oh. That will really help your breathy singer. Tip number 8 is posture and thinking about your whole entire body. When you're singing, your whole body is connected, so you want to make sure that you're standing correctly. If you can stand with your feet shoulder width apart, one foot slightly in front of the other. Make sure you're keeping your knees loose so they do not lock up during a performance. Your core is tight, like we talked about before, thinking about that tube around your whole entire body. Make sure you also roll your shoulders back so that you're standing tall. Your head should be really, really loose, and make sure it's never reaching up like this so that you're straining when you sing. Also, try not to yell or scream just in everyday normal life. If you can eat well, sleep, really take care of your body, it'll help your overall sound. Make sure that you're always trying to repair or rest your voice if you're having any trouble or starting to lose your voice. Tip number 9 is to really think about the words you are singing. During a performance, it's really important to express and show the audience what you're singing about. Also, you can concentrate on consonants and vowels. Vowels tend to be the most important part or the longest part of what we sing, but consonants can help you sing the proper vowel. Now I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about with the consonants and the vowels. This exercise is Have You Seen Lucy Today? Have you seen Lucy today? You're going to use the L to get a proper oo vowel. Have you seen Lucy today? You can use that L consonant to get a proper oo vowel. Here's another fun exercise that also uses the L consonant. I love to sing, bum bum. I love to sing. So it's almost that the consonant propels the vowel open and helps you to have a long jaw. And one last exercise that really concentrates on the consonants in the words is something like this. Diction is done with the tip of the tongue and the teeth. Bum, bum. Diction is done with the tip of the tongue and the teeth. So make sure that they're really saying all of those consonants very clearly. The 10th and final tip for great singing is to really unify your choir and your singers. If they're doing a great job, tell them. If they sing a 3-part chord perfectly in tune, stop the rehearsal and really encourage them. The more that they feel comfortable singing in the choir and singing together, the better that they'll feel like they are great singers. To summarize those 10 tips today, I would really start with your individual singers to make sure that they have breath, space, and resonance. And then branch out and see if you can work on some of those other tips that we talked about today.